Hollywood has done it again. They have taken another beloved anime series and turned it into a garbage live action movie that doesn't have the same soul of its source material. It is well understood by now that when you take a comic book, a manga, or a novel, or a TV series, and once you adapt it to fit another medium, that certain aspects are going to have to be changed in order to make a more watchable and cohesive story. However, Netflix's Death Note movie, directed by Adam Wingard, is a prime example of what happens when you take too many creative liberties and you don't retain the core traits of what made the original work so perfectly. I was hoping that this film would be the one to remove the stigma around live action anime adaptations that movies like Dragon Ball Evolution and Avatar helped to cultivate. Unfortunately, this movie gets a lot of things wrong. It just got a lot wrong, especially the characters. They took the characters from the Death Note anime series and robbed them of their unique personalities and motivations. In this live action adaptation, Light, Misa, and Light's father are nothing more than cookie cutter characters. They changed Light's character from being this guy who is essentially an idealist with a warped sense of justice to being a typical high school nerd who has a personal tragedy happen in his life, so now he has a darker view of the world. Light's father is a cop, like he was in the anime, but his relationship with his son Light is a bit more strained because of something that happened in his family. And the character of Misa Amane has been drastically changed in this movie in the exact same way that I thought that Hollywood was going to alter the character. They tried to make Misa a strong, dependent female character with her own motivations, which is 100% what this character is not supposed to be. This is the same crap the writers of the Suicide Squad movie did with the character of Harley Quinn. Similar to the dynamic of Joker and Harley Quinn in the cartoons, well, Light uses Misa for his own personal gain. She basically does everything that he tells her to do because she is in love with him. However, just like with the Joker, Light Yagami from the anime is not in love with Misa. It isn't supposed to be a mutual thing. They altered the character to make her more politically correct and more in line with what is culturally acceptable in the United States, and that's a horrible decision. The character they chose to give us in this movie just feels like she is just there. She is just there to serve the plot and basically be an enabler for Light Turner. The only character that isn't generic in this movie is Elle. And Elle is portrayed by Keith Stanfield. And Keith Stanfield's portrayal of Elle is the closest thing the writers got right in this movie. He is eccentric and he's intelligent, which he was in the anime. They nailed a lot of his weird tendencies and his quirks, and some of the quirks that were iconic to the character. However, by a certain point in this movie, Elle just becomes very one note. He's very unhinged and angry throughout a large portion of this movie, which causes him to do a lot of stupid things, something that a person like Elle would never do. This made me hate Elle at certain points of this movie. And to be honest, it was really hard for me to care about any of the characters in this movie, with the exception of maybe Light's father. It was hard for me to care about whether or not, Light was going to get caught because of how poorly his character has been written here. He doesn't actively have a drive to cleanse the world of criminals like the character does in the anime, but instead he's influenced by those around him, specifically Misa and Ryuk. And speaking of Ryuk, the Shinigami is reduced to playing the role of the devil on the shoulder in this movie. Ryuk isn't a passive character like he was in the anime, which would be fine if the main character in this movie wasn't so weak and uninteresting. The only positive thing I can say about Ryuk in this movie is the fact that the voice acting for the character is pitch perfect. Ryuk is voiced by Willem Dafoe in this movie, and he does a great job of capturing the creepiness of the character. This movie leans a lot more toward the horror aspect of Death Note's Shinigamis, which I didn't mind that at all. However, a big issue is that this movie is lacking the key thriller and dramatic elements that made the anime so compelling. This film is essentially Death Note without the wit and suspense. Light and Misa do some really stupid things that makes me think that they want to get caught in this movie. They have little to no self-preservation, and it is painfully obvious that the writers changed how the Death Note functions in order to make the story work. They screwed up with a lot of rules in this movie. They changed a lot of the rules around. The movie just feels like someone watched 7 episodes of the series and then crafted a generic teenage horror movie story around those episodes because they forgot to watch the rest of the series. I wanted to believe that, with Ghost in the Shell, that Hollywood was beginning to learn how to best adapt anime and manga, but now I'm not so sure. Perhaps I'm just way too close to the source material, but I feel like this movie just completely misses the mark. I can't recommend people that love the anime or the manga to watch this movie. However, if you have never watched the anime or read the manga, you might get some enjoyment out of this below average horror genre film. I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. The highest score I could give this movie is a 6, but I'm going to give it a 5 anyway. So let me know what you guys thought about the Death Note movie. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. This has been the Negro Shotty. I'm out of here. Peace.